So, you should probably put a little bit more light on your face, actually.
I should. Okay, let's see if I can do it with this thing because
yeah, that's better.
Let me just. All right, let's put some light on the old hair.
So what we talked about what I wanted the show to be about, but once I started looking at all your pages and everything that you've done, I found you quite interesting.
Well, thank you, doll. So are you.
I found
you gorgeous.
So I decided that I'm gonna stir the interview into an all-around story about your life, and then include being older in it and in Hollywood, technology, and all that kind of stuff. How's that?
Fabulous. Whatever you want. I am your palette, so paint away.
Well, I see that you had you teach and all of this stuff. I didn't even know that. I
used to be a teacher.
Oh, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be good. So why don't we say we'll start in 1 minute. We'll give I'll give you a minute to get you a little drink and compose yourself. And
all right, here I got my coffee right here. I gotta send you.
You're freezing again.
Freezing.
Okay. Let's start. So I'm gonna call you SJ titktokbubbie.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. And we're gonna start in 5, 4, 3, 2. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Stephanie Stevens Show. Today we have a Brooklyn native, all the way from Brooklyn, New York. We have the incredible Miss SJ titktokbubbie. The reason I asked her on the show today is because I found her fascinating. She has a young audience and a great following. And I think that she can educate us about being seniors, growing up in show business, and where do we go from here? So today I want to welcome SJ titktokbubbie. Did I say that right?
Bubby, not booby. Boobies are these.
Oh. So what does Bubby mean?
It's a Jewish grandma, means Jewish grandmother.
Oh, okay. Now, today, the reason I asked you on the show, SJ, is because I thought you were incredible. You have such a great aura about you and a connection to your audience. And I thought that was great because being an older person, sometimes kids think that we're just chastising them or trying to get them to do the right thing. And sometimes just having a little fun is okay. Now, let's talk about where you are actually from. I know that it says that you're from Brooklyn, New York, a native of Brooklyn, New York.
Right.
You run a production company called Ma Kitty.
Correct. Ma Kitty Productions.
Mm-hmm. So what do you actually produce?
Well, I produce myself. That's one of the things. But I produced a film in 2018 called Ma Kitty. Mm-hmm. And it was about a senior woman who likes to have sex and, doesn't give a crap what other people think. That's a
good thing. That's a good thing.
Right.
I don't know why people have a problem with older people having sex. I mean, for me, I never saw my parents having sex because my room was upstairs and theirs was down. So I didn't really, I didn't, you know what I mean. But I don't think I don't think there's nothing wrong with people in general having lots of sex.
Right. Well, I don't know about lots, but this character, Ma Kitty, she had lots of sex with her husband, Max.
Oh, Max was a devil, wasn't he? Max was an old go-getter. Go get it, Max. Hey.
That's right, honey. And I'll have to send you a copy of it. I'll send it to you because it's very fun. I think it's funny.
Wonderful. So you hail from a private university, Pratt University.
Right. Well, see, I didn't want to do any of these things, but my mother really hated the fact that show business, the family wasn't show business. She hated it. She said, Sandra, you have to have something to fall back on. So go to college and get an art teaching degree.
Oh. Now, so what are you doing now? I know you're trying to do a podcast.
I'm going to be doing a podcast. I just had a 10-month acting job. I'm not going to say, what it was, but it was probably the best job I had, where I was like a brand spokesperson. So I did that for 10 months. Before that, for a minute, I did Fiddler on the Roof, the show. If I was a rich man, and I played Yenta the matchmaker for a minute. And I've done a lot of commercials in the last 10 years, a lot of stuff as well, different things. I love to be busy and do different things.
Wonderful. Now, I want to talk to you about getting older in Hollywood. Are you afraid of getting older in Hollywood?
Not at all. Are you kidding me? There's more roles for old bags like me than I can count on my 10 fingers and toes, 20 more.
I want to go back to what you said about the movie that you did, Ma Kitty, and it was about an older woman having lots of sex. Now, is this fiction or fact?
It's a combination. I would say it's a combination of both. It's the story of a woman who basically kills her husband, she thinks, while having sex, but there's more to be revealed.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, let's talk about, like I said, getting older in Hollywood. Now, like earlier, we had all these problems with technology, both you and me. And we're at the age now to where older people aren't used to all of this technology, right. But the young kids are. Where do you see, now that you have a big audience on TikTok, what do you want your message to be?
Peace and love, definitely. Being good to everybody, being good to your parents and your grandparents, and being good to the kids too. It's very important, and also bringing love to everybody, because I do love everybody. I think that that's very important, to love each other no matter what.
Now, what do you think I know you've been in Hollywood a long time. What is the scariest thing that you feel about, whether it's life or it's the fact of getting older, or the movies, or the fact of lack of
what?
lack of, before, sometimes when we're younger, we have more opportunities for bigger roles and better roles. And then usually as we get older, they put us in the typical roles as the secretary or the mother or the truck driver, something where we have.
I'd like to be a truck driver, Stephanie Stevens. Where?
I'm actually doing a show on, there's a couple of women that are big truckers now, and I've asked them to do the show. So in a few weeks, you'll see that, women on the road. So
yes.
It's shocking to see these women drive these big rig things.
It's wonderful. Well, I've heard about those truck stops, honey.
Oh. Ooh, don't mention them truck stops late night after the shows, and you got to get you a little gas money and then run to the washroom, and you know how it is.
I know, honey. I know. I'm 75 years young. I know how it is.
Now let's talk about your family. How do your family feel about you being in show business? And now that you're a TikTok sensation, what do they feel about you being on technology?
Well, my husband loves it. And I adopted a daughter from TikTok. Her name is Lisa Brown. So I don't know, we just got together. But the rest of my family, forget it. They're embarrassed by me. They think I'm vulgar and disgusting. So there you go.
Well, that's the way to be in life. We only have one life to go around.
That's right, honey.
Just be who you are.
That's all I can be. That's their problem, not mine. I can't do anything about how they feel about it. If I embarrass them, too bad.
You know, SJ, it's very strange that when you think about life and you think about people not living their truth, it must be very hurtful being behind closed doors, living these secret lives that you don't have to.
I think less that we have to live a secret life now, don't you think, Stephanie, than before? You know, in the 50s,
Well,
I think my father was bisexual, I'm guessing. I just got that energy. And he probably had to hide it. And he lived with such shame about it all of us. This is my guess about him. Only a guess.
Now, you know, most young people today, I mean, when you look at TikTok and you're on there quite regularly, when you look at all the young people that are now expressing themselves in so many different ways, it's
I love it. Be yourself. Who else are you going to be but yourself? Transgender, LGBTQ plus, you know, pansexual, you know, whatever you are, just be who you are and accept yourself. And if people don't like it, fuck them. Too bad.
I like the idea also is I'm going to be doing a show with a young man. He was struggling with the fact of he was dating women, but he also liked to date men. But he was more interested in women, but he had such a problem with the way women always question the fact just because he hadn't been with a man or liked men that he was just gay. And he was trying to explain that he was just bi, but women weren't accepting because they want a man to be a man all the time and only interested in women. Now, I mean, you told me that you were married twice before.
Right.
Now,
yes, I was.
Okay, now you've been with your husband now for 20 years.
Right.
What's different about this marriage that differs from the other two?
I think being older helped. I think when we got together, we were both 55. I think I made a commitment because I was what you call a serial cheater before. I never, that's what I was.
Now that's a movie.
I always thought there was the grass was always greener on the other side. It was just different grass. It wasn't greener. But I made the commitment to myself and to my husband that in this relationship, I wouldn't cheat. And I haven't so far. That's like, before that, forget it.
You know, trust me when I tell you this, I found you so interesting after reading all this stuff. And usually she writes the scripts for me. This girl here we have in the office, she hates being on camera. Anyway, but today I wrote the script because I thought you were so interesting. Now, what made you go to TikTok for your voice?
I'll tell you, well, I saw that TikTok had a lot of young people. And even though I really can't specifically talk about it, I haven't seen my grandchildren in many, many years. I thought, well, maybe they'll be on TikTok. And I also worked on a pilot with this kid, Derek Too Funny, and he was on TikTok. I thought, maybe I'll go on TikTok and just put up some of my silly stuff. And I just couldn't believe how many people were interested in me. I was shocked. Eating Cheetos and with a purple glove and like putting drops in my eyes. I was in shock.
Well, you know, I like the fact that you were just being yourself. And I could see when you're looking into the camera, your eyes say a lot and your expression. And I like the fact that you were serious about the message you were trying to get across. And basically it was about fun, but yet people should explore, and people should listen, because when I'm listening to you, you're current with what's going on. And that's very hard, but there's so much noise on the internet. I mean, we got like 40 streaming platforms. How do you keep up with all that stuff?
Who knows?
You've connected with very few words. And that is what I also found interesting, something I'm finding hard to do. I mean, connecting to people with very few words. Me usually
Right,
have to have a
right.
long, drawn out sentence and all that kind of stuff. But I just want to say you are fascinating. You really are. And I'm very happy that you slowed down the truck stops and all of that kind of stuff. Now you're happy.
Girl.
And things are good. I mean, when you're in New York City, that must be a melting pot for cheaters.
Well, we were just visiting New York City again in August, and I thought to myself, I'm so glad I don't live here anymore. I cheated more out here than I did in New York City, honey.
Oh, now, in closing, pretty much, what is your advice to young people on social media now? Because now there's a real opportunity for even you as an older person and myself to really have our own shows and be successful at it with so many different platforms.
Be yourself. Who else are you going to be? You know, I do see some people on TikTok who don't know what to do. And if that's who you are, that's fine. Just be yourself and love yourself. And if your parents don't love who you are, you have to find a way to just be yourself. That's the most important thing. Somehow you have to love yourself before anybody else can love you, no matter what. And that's all I can say. You know what I mean? I love to give things away to people. Like, you know, I'm giving my cups away again to the people in Florida if they need anything. You know, it just, why not? Last year was for people who had COVID, the nurses, the doctors. I sent thousands, I don't know, hundreds, whatever I sent. So just be willing.
Now, what is your, that, you know, that's amazing. You really influenced me a lot because I watch a lot of your stuff. Now, I want to talk about your podcast.
Oh, I'm going to start a podcast in a couple of weeks called, thank you, Morning Bitches. It's going to be about everything. No holds barred. I'm not going to be keeping my mouth shut. Whatever people wanted, like when I bring you on as a guest, Stephanie, I want you to talk about your journey, your experience. I'm going to talk about my experiences with different show businessmen, if you know what I mean. I'm just going to bring it all out into the open. Why the heck not? That, you know, and just things that people want to discuss. Like Howard Stern is my idol of all people. I love him because he talks about the truth. About
he is good. He is very good.
He's great. He talks about, like, you know, different people who slept with people, who did drugs. Me too. That's what I'm going to do.
Well, you know, it's a good thing when we're open and we're honest. That way, that weight is off of our shoulders.
Oh, totally.
I tell people I'm not ashamed what I did in my life. I mean, I didn't do too much, but I ain't gonna say that I was a Christian running around trying to be a saint, because I wasn't. I traveled all over this world, and I've been in bathhouses and whorehouses.
Well, you're gorgeous. I'm just saying, you are gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
You are beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Now, in closing, let's talk about where you are going to go now. After the podcast, what do you want to come from the podcast after you've done it all said and done? Obviously, you want a movie or you want a show or something to do with the podcast.
I don't know. I usually work on one thing at a time, or maybe two. I just want to be like, you know, work on the podcast and bring my message to more people, you know, here in the world, people who could just be themselves and talk about their life without having any fear of who they are and getting repercussions from anybody. I mean, you know, I don't want to know if you murdered anybody. I'm not going to do anything like that. But you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't have a jumping off point. That's my focus at this time. And auditioning for things, you know, auditioning again, because I had this job that was just amazing for 10 months where I represented a company, a corporation. I never did that before. And that was, you know, and things happen. You know, when one door closes, Stephanie, another one opens. So,
oh, yes.
I could have sit on my butt and do nothing, but that's not me.
Now, in closing, we will say this, SJ TikTok Bubbie.
Bubby, you're going with
Bubbie.
the boobies again.
I don't know why I say that.
Oh, you must like saying boobies.
So, what's your advice to the older people that are sitting around doing nothing, but yet still have like some of this experience from whether they worked in a coffee shop or owned a business, and all these stories that are not told?
Don't retire. So let's just say you owned a business. Get your ass up and go to Walmart and become a greeter. Do something like that. You know, go in. You had a business. You know how to run. Ask someone else if they need help with their business. You know that, because if you sit around and wait to die, you're gonna die. If you're sitting around watching soap operas, you know, and saying, "Oh, my stories, my stories." Honey, they ain't real stories.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you to SJ today, Ma Kitty Productions, for being on the show and giving us a little inside story to her life and her being a sensation on TikTok. I find her very inspirational and entertaining. And I look forward to hearing and watching her podcast. And I hope you guys out there will look for her on TikTok. Until then, my friends, be safe, have fun, and like she said, just do something. Thank you, SJ.
Thank you, Stephanie Stevens, you gorgeous creature.
Thank you. Bye.